Hello, mic test. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So, we have here BSES 40, so our meteorology course. I sent a copy of a PowerPoint last night. It was about, no, it was not a PowerPoint presentation, but a copy of the video discussion of the last PowerPoint presentation that I sent, no, regarding BSES 40, and that is all about the nature of the atmosphere. So if you have watched already the YouTube video, so dito nakikita ko naman kung sino at ilan pa lang yung nakaka-view ng YouTube discussion ko. So dito tatlo pa lang simula nung na-post ko siya kagabi. So kung 22 kayo, so I'm waiting for the others to watch it. But you have already the copy of the PowerPoint presentation. So next to that recorded video is this online meeting regarding heat energy of the atmosphere. So in the previous video discussion, I discussed there the layers of the atmosphere, no, and aligned with that, we're going to talk about naman how is Earth being heated by the sun, and what are the means or what are the ways to transfer the heat energy coming from the sun to the earth. Okay, so the transfer of heat energy, the heat source for our planet is the sun in our solar system. Okay, so energy from the sun is transferred through the space and through the earth's atmosphere to the earth's surface. So since this energy warms the Earth's surface and atmosphere, some of it is some of it is or becomes heat energy. There are three ways that heat can be transferred into and through the atmosphere. So we have the radiation, conduction, and convection. So the distance of the sun from the center of the sun, not from the nearest surface of the sun. Now we're talking about the center of the sun. To the center of the earth is what we call one astronomical unit. So that one astronomical unit is what we use to measure the distance between the sun and the earth. So yun yung ating parang standard unit of distance sa atmosphere, okay? So the distance from the sun to the earth. Ngayon, we all know that the distance of our earth to the sun is very far. It's more than thousands of uh, light years, no? Um, it's more than thousands of kilometers or miles. But even though it's too far from us, no, still the sun has the ability to transfer its both light and heat energy to us. And today we're going to discuss how this three transfer of heat energy is occurring or happening. So radiation is the transfer of heat energy through uh, the space by an electromagnetic radiation. Now, if you can notice in the um, if you can notice in this picture, so in this image, I have here a dog sitting in front of a fireplace. Now, the transfer of heat here is through the space by an electromagnetic radiation coming from the fire. So even though there's no direct contact from the fire, the dog can still feel the heat, no? Now, in this radiation, ang nahi-heat lang is yung one part na kung saan nakatapad doon sa fireplace or sa mismo source of energy yung ating fire, no? So, the same thing with our planet. So, during radiation, during daytime, ang nakaka-experience ng more electromagnetic radiation coming from the sun is yung side na kung saan nakatapat ito sa sun. Okay? Now, so yung opposite side nun na hindi nasisinagan, they do not experience direct radiation from the sun. So most of the electromagnetic radiation uh, that comes to the earth from the sun is invisible because we all know that electromagnetic waves have different wavelength and um, they have different frequency, no? And later I will show you what are the types of the electromagnetic waves that we have, the electromagnetic spectrum, and only a small portion comes as the visible light. Now, regarding the electromagnetic spectrum, this is not new to you already, no? I will just ask you, where can you see the visible light in the electromagnetic spectrum that lies between low BSE o nandun to sa.
Infrared po tsaka UV.
And so we have their infrared rays and the UV rays. Okay, sino yun? Si,
Lamar po.
si Lamar. Thank you, Lamar. Okay, so we have here the electromagnetic spectrum. We have here two kinds of ionizing wavelength. So these are the non-ionizing starting from a part of the UV rays to infrared and the radio waves. And the ionizing wavelengths are the harmful what do you call this x-ray and gamma rays. Okay, so as you can notice here, this is the wavelength of this electromagnetic waves. Okay, so the longer the wavelength, the weaker the frequency, the lesser the frequency. And as we move forward to the gamma rays, they have shorter wavelength, but they have larger or longer. Wait lang, may nag-admit. Okay, they have a longer frequency. Okay, so what are the examples of radio waves? So ito yung mga geomagnetic and sub-Earth sources natin such as this Earth and subways, yung mga ating MRT, LRT, they uses this kind of uh, waves attached to their direct source of power. Then yung mga alternating power sources natin. Okay. So we also have this one radio frequency spectrum that uses microwaves, no? It's microwave and satellite. Okay. And then these are uh, yung ibang gadgets din natin, they are using infrared waves to use as communication. Okay, so we have here this is the only part, this is the visible light coming passing through our atmosphere. Okay, so Roy G. Biv to. So itong Roy G. Biv na to, ang na-absorb ng ating atmosphere starts from this violet, this ultraviolet rays hanggang itong mga harmful electromagnetic waves na to. So this shorter wavelength ay na-absorb ng ating ng ating atmosphere. So yung mga may longer wavelength, okay, sila yung nagpa-pass through sa ating atmosphere and still they radiate back to our atmosphere. Now, this shorter wavelength kasi they have higher energy compared to this longer wavelength, no? Even though this longer wavelength has cooler or cooler energy than the shorter wavelength, no, they can still pass through our atmosphere, no, and then they can still give us uh, our our heat energy. Okay. So, ito yung kanina pinakitang pictures. They are put in here as text. So, yung unang ano natin doon is radio wave. Ito yung may longest wavelength natin. But they have low frequency and low energy. So, next to that is the microwave. Next is infrared. Next is visible light. Okay, next is ultraviolet. Ito yung mga start na ng harmful rays starting from the UV rays to X-ray to last ang ating gamma ray. Okay, so the shorter the wavelength, always remember it has high frequency. Okay, and then the higher the frequency, the shorter the wavelength, it has the higher energy. Both uh, um, heat and light energy coming from the sun. Now, what are the parts of the wavelength? So this is part of your physics class way back high school. So your wavelength, your imagine that you have their wavelength, no? This wavelength has an imaginary line to that. So to make that comparison, if you compare your wavelength, you can start with a certain point in your wavelength to measure one full distance of wavelength. Okay, so if we will compare that this wavelength to a circular pattern, this will be a one complete rotation. Okay, so kunwari dito ka nag-start ng point mo sa in counting the wavelength. So, for us to have a complete rotation of the wavelength, dapat same point lang din doon sa curve ka magpo-point. If you want to count your wavelength dito naman sa median line natin, so yung isang complete turn yan, edi yung next na median line din natin. Okay? If you will imagine, this is a complete rotation as a circle. Okay? Kapag compare natin yung wavelength sa isang circular motion. Now, the distance at the median plate to the highest peak of the wavelength, that is your amplitude. Okay? So, ito yung level ng highest peak ng ating wavelength. Okay? So, ito, dito sa part na to, okay, kung dito tayo nag-point in counting our wavelength, okay, and then yung next na curve niyan, papunta sa unang median line after nung point A natin, will not be our full wavelength already. Not yet pa, kasi ano pa to eh, half turn pa lang. So yung susunod pa niyang turn will be a complete a complete rotation, no? And this is considered one wavelength. Now, kung bibilangin natin yan, that will tell us anong klase ng radio wave ang meron doon sa uh, electromagnetic spectrum. Okay? So, here are the colors in the spectrum. So, Roger wave to for uh, uh, sa visible light. here are the types of radiation. Okay, so we only have three common radiation that is uh, happening to that can be found in our environment, no, within the Earth's surface. So we have here the alpha rays, the beta rays, the gamma rays, no. X-ray is an example of this gamma rays, and the not so familiar or not so this is not familiar to us, the neutron rays, no. So in the alpha rays, you can see there are two protons and two neutrons. So what do you think? What element is this that has two protons and two neutrons? This is
Helium po.
po. So, helium, ito yung lagi nating naririnig during nuclear fusion and nuclear fission ng ating sun, no? So, itong ang helium nito, no, it can have this alpha rays, and during this radiation, no, uh, it can have it can have at least three level of ionization in their electromagnetic waves, and that level of ionization can pass through only through this uh, layer of paper. So hanggang dyan lang siya magpa-pass through yung kanyang radiation. So hindi siya ganun ka-harmful sa mga tao. Wait lang. So alpha rays cannot penetrate through our body, but can still be felt until the first layer of our skin. So the alpha rays are stopped by at least this thick of paper. Next, we have here beta rays. Nag-admit. Okay, this beta ray, so it has higher energy. It has high energy electrons compared to the alpha rays, and it has two levels of ionization. The lower the level of ionization, you can have their higher energy. So this ionization beta rays can now pass through our layer of the skin, no? So it can pass through until our layer in our bones. So yung tao kasi lies between this thickness of paper and thin aluminum. So dito, if you will just imagine yung tao nandito sa gitna nila. So yung beta rays, gamma rays, and neutron rays can now pass through our body, and that is harmful because it can manipulate the the chromosomes that we have in our cell during mitosis or meiosis, that can affect our genetic makeup, no, can lead to mutation, no. Kaya yung mga na-expose sa harmful beta rays and gamma rays, no, halimbawa merong nuclear waste na ikaw ay na-expose sa isang nuclear waste, o meron tayong yung katulad sa Chernobyl, no? Yung Chernobyl, it's a nuclear power plant na nasira at expose ng harmful um, gamma rays that cause its population to have mutation after generation and generation. So yung first generation na na-expose doon nung nagkaroon sila ng mga alteration sa kanilang body form, yung itsura nila medyo nag-iba after how many years, then nung nagkaanak sila or yung mga sumunod na generation sa kanila is meron ng mga syndromes caused by this harmful gamma rays. Okay? So, yun yung mga nagiging reason or nagiging effect ng rays sa atin, no? Mga harmful rays. So, katulad nun yung extreme gamma rays, it can pass through our cell that can change our mga ano dun, yung mga composition natin dun sa DNA. So, pwedeng ma-alter din yung mga mag yung ating mga amino acid na dapat magkakapag-produce ng certain or specific protein natin. Now, in beta rays, it cannot pass through a thin layer of aluminum. So, if in a nuclear power plant, so ito yung mga kalimitan nilang protection. No? So, yung ibang bodysuit or yung mga kanilang wall, meron mga ganitong klase ng metals. So, ang pinaka-common yung mga nakikita nating mga man in suit using thick lead. Okay? So, itong thick lead suit na to, ito yung mga ginagamit ng mga taong nagre-repair ng ibang parts or kailangan maging safe sila during cleanup of a radio wave, gamma rays, or nuclear waste explosion sa isang lugar or do sa isang nuclear power plant, no? So ito yung mga ginagamit na ng safety uh, attire, no? Then we have here the neutron rays that can pass through in all of this: paper, tin, aluminum, or thick lead. So water can, ayan, no, stop neutrons rays can pass through until even sa ating water or concrete. So, napaka ano niya, deep penetrating ng neutron rays. Now, these are the types of radiation na nabanggit ko kanina and their biological effects. So, yung ating alpha particles or alpha rays, no, so it has two protons plus two neutrons, more commonly in the helium element. So it can you consider the helium nuclei. So it has high ionization density 3 level. So ang kanyang charged particles ay 2 plus. Bakit 2 plus? Kasi it has no electrons surrounding its orbital. We're just talking about the helium nuclei. In the alpha radiation or the alpha uh, rays. In the beta rays, no, you can have their electrons or much low. It has lower ionization density than the alpha particles. So this time we're talking about the electrons or the positrons. It's either negative charge or positively charged particles. Okay, so wala tayong nuclei na pinag-uusapan dito in the atomic level. The alpha rays and the X-rays, the gamma rays and the X-rays, it has this electromagnetic waves in photons style. So it has low ionization density and high penetrating power. So ito naman, next neutron beams natin or the neutron rays. Okay, so we're just talking about the radiation ability of the neutron. So it has very high ionization density. When the ionization number is the same, the higher the ionization density is, and the larger the biological effects are, because it can penetrate until the deep of our body system. So we all know that this radiation are being used in different fields. So it can be a source of our energy or electricity, since this gamma rays and x-rays, if we have here very radioactive materials as yung mga plutonium, no? If we're going to uh, make electricity out of that, we have to um, alter their until the we must alter until their molecular makeup, no? So during the breakup of this radioactive material, it can produce as much smaller element or atomic nuclei such as yung helium natin, no? And during that process, it produces much heat energy that we can use to heat up pwedeng water in a container. Tapos, during that time, pag nainit na yung water, we can have their water vapor rising up, and that can be used to um, mobilize a motor, and that motor uh, can generate electricity. So yun ay sa isang um ang tawag dito, sa isang nuclear power plant, no. Now, instead in the medical field naman, no, you can use the yung mga medical grade na radioactive material that can treat cancer cells. So, ang gagawin naman ng mga yon is to kill those bad cell. Pero ang catch doon is hindi lang bad cell lang na papatay noon. So, yung mga ibang nag-undergo ng ganyang therapy, so sila yung mga naglalagas din ng buhok, nanghihina yung kanilang katawan kasi it can kill also healthy cells, no? So, yung kanina, ito, this is the alpha radiation. This is the name for the emission of an alpha particle. In fact, a helium nuclei. So we are not wala itong electron sa kanyang orbital. Next is the beta radiation is the emission of electrons or positrons. So we are just talking about another subparticle of an atom with its power to radiate, and we have here a gamma radiation. This is the term used for the emission of the energetic photons alone. Okay? So, kung manonotice nyo, parang yung isang atom na may iba't ibang subparticle, yung kanyang mga subparticle, if there will be a certain reaction that can happen to that, it can, once na break mo yung parts ng atom, it can have you must need certain amount of power to break them, then that will release an energy, pwedeng heat energy yan, no? Because of the parang ano yun, parang byproduct ng process of breaking down those subparticles. We have here the alpha, beta, and gamma decay are a result of the three fundamental forces working in the nucleus. So we have here the strong force, and the weak force, and the electromagnetic force. Ito yung binabanggit ko kanina. If you have their larger atomic number of a radioactive material, kunwari plutonium, if we're going to use that in a power plant, yun nga ang mangyayari. Yung plutonium na malaki, magiging maliit yan kasi uh, uh, after how many years niyong gagamitin yan sa isang power plant, kaya nga mahal yan eh. No? Kasi um, uh, for so many reasons, mahal yung mga ganong klaseng radioactive material na ginagamit sa nuclear power plant. Then yung from napakamalaking mass niya, nagiging maliit niya pag sobrang nagagamit na kasi uh, um, you are using that in converting that to have heat energy or high amount of energy during the process of breaking it down. Nagkakaroon yun ng mga byproduct of smaller atomic or smaller element na may kasamang uh, byproduct na kanyang heat energy. So, kaya yun nangyayari kasi meron tayong tinatawag na strong force at weak force. At weak force na yun, yung mga mas maliliit na element like yung helium natin, helium nuclei na move out from there. So in all three cases, the emission of radiation increases the nucleus stability by adjusting its proton and neutron ratio. So in the case of alpha radiation, the nucleus attempts to find the stability by emitting an alpha particle, so identical to a helium nucleus, so two protons and two neutrons. Regarding beta radiation, it involves the transformation of a neutron into a proton. Again, involves the transformation of a neutron into a proton through the emission of an electron. So, this is the reverse process. The trans So, ito yung pwedeng isa niyang occurrence at yung isa naman occurrence niya, pwedeng transformation of a proton into a neutron through the emission of a positron. So, this is similar to an electron but with a positive charge. Now, uh, gamma radiation is simply a loss of energy by the nucleus or what we call desexcitation. So this is much like an emission of light or X-rays by energetic atoms. Alpha and beta decays almost always leave the nucleus in an excited state, but gamma emission brings the nucleus down to a more stable energetic state. So if you will just imagine the movement of this particles, if you will compare the three, gamma rays has the most uh, more stable energetic state than the other two that are uh, in excited state. So anytime they can react with other um, particles. So alpha and beta decays are often difficult to occur in our environment. So what we can only see yung sa halimbawa sa power plant is yung ating gamma rays which is the very harmful among the three. So they can be very slow processes. So the lifetimes of some radioactive nuclei are long for the clocks of the infinitely small because no, the lifetimes of a natural radioactive alpha emitter such as uranium and thorium can extend up to several billions of years. So it's very long. Alright, so these emissions change the composition of the nucleus. Therefore, the nature of the atom is also changed. Now, the alpha and beta radioactives do not transform lead into gold but transmute matter like other nuclear reactions do. Okay, so this radio active waves does not transform gold. No, um, may nakita akong experiment before sa ah, TV, parang finiture siya sa Caps Amazing ba yun or Replays. Kasi ang gusto ng mga scientists is to create gold without digging the soil at yung parang hindi na nila kailangang minahin yung gold. Ang gusto nila is to create a gold. So they tried to make several experiments including this. this theory nila dati, but it turns out na they cannot make other metals to become gold using radioactive materials. Yung iba, gumamit din sila ng laser. So, walang nag-succeed na experiment to make another element from a different element such as gold. No? So that gold is, so every element is a pure element that cannot be um, um, created. I'm just talking about the gold. Ha? Okay. We have here neutron radiation, yung pang-apat natin kanina. So neutron radiation is a form of ionizing radiation that represents as the free neutrons. So these typical phenomena are nuclear fission or nuclear fusion causing the release of free neutrons. So which then react with nuclei of the other atoms to form new isotopes, so which in turn may trigger further neutron radiation. So this is a repeating process in the neutron radiation, and this is uh, this we all know that this neutron are neutral charge, no, but can in this phenomena it can lead to nuclear fission or nuclear fusion, no, that yun nga can be released, no, mare-release tong mga neutrons and can react to other atoms at it will repeat again and again. Ito yung minimension ko kanina sa ating yung nuclear power plant na binabanggit ko. If you have their, kunwari, imagine this kasi maliit lang naman to, ano lang naman to, their molecular structure, no? If you have their great mass of radioactive material, you can see there, habang ilang taon mo siyang ginagamit, lumiliit yung material mo. So let's say you have their radium. So this radium, 94% niyan, no, ay magiging radon, at yung mare-remove doon ng 6%, those are the alpha rays, no. And then if you further this radon, this alpha is an excited state, no. So from this radon, no, you can yield another um, gamma rays here and another form of radioactive material. So let us look at here this nucleus of radium with atomic number of 226. The one discovered by Marie Curie decays directly in 93% to ayan nga. So 93%, may decimal point yan, of the cases in the nucleus of radon by emitting an alpha particle. So, however, in 7% of the cases, the nucleus is left in an excited state. Okay, so ito yon. So, very rapidly, the excited radionucleus get rid of its excess of energy. So, by emitting a gamma ray. This gamma ray is much more stable state than the excited state of the alpha rays. So, physicists represents the various decay modes of a nucleus by decay chart similar to the one represented on the right. So the emission of gamma very often accompany the transformation of the nuclei. So this is what we call yung ating nuclear decay na sinasabi ko. Okay. After the radiation, no, ayun nga, meron tayo alpha, beta, and gamma radiation. Those are the three common types of radiation. We now move on to the second type of heat transfer, the conduction. Conduction is the transfer of heat energy from one substance to another or within a substance. So in this part, it has a direct contact from a source of heat. Let's say this one, you have the resource of heat, yung ating burner. Itong burner na to, let's say this is yung de kuryente na burner, no? Ito kasi obvious na obvious yung fire. Let's say de kuryente to na burner at wala yung direct heat. But since metallic form yung ginagamit doon, metal, no? It can transfer heat by simply um, passing through the heat from one substance to another. So, pwedeng pag nagkadikit yung metal nung burner natin doon sa metal ng ating pwedeng pan, no, is matatransfer yung heat. So, makikita nyo naman yung direction dito. It's not just about metal to metal. Pwede rin niya, ayun nga, ito, ibang ano na to. So, na-transfer yung heat from metal to the food. Okay, so this is the conduction process. So, meron tayo dito direct contact of heat, no? So, kaya nga nararamdaman din natin yung heat until the handle of uh, the pan or the pot. So, bakit kung mapapansin nyo, ang conduction is mas observable sa ating or mas mabilis mag-transfer ang heat kapag metal or ibang solid matter or object, no? Kasi yung mga solid materials natin, they have compacted molecules. That is why yung heat is mas mabilis na nata-transfer. Okay? Unlike sa radiation, kasi sa radiation, magpa-pass through muna yung heat energy sa isang medium katulad ng air medium na yun, no? Or sa labas naman ng earth yung vacuum natin doon kasi walang air doon, no? Pero para magkaroon ng radiation, kailangan malakas yung amount of energy na meron. But dito sa conduction, kahit little amount lang compared to the amount released uh, in halimbawa sa sun na mataas ang kanyang radiation property, no? Eh kahit dito sa conduction, kahit konting source of energy lang is matatransfer na yun kasi meron tayong direct contact. Now, the last heat transfer is the convection. Convection is the transfer of heat energy in a fluid. Okay? So, even not in fluid, pwede rin tong sa air molecules. Kasi air in the atmosphere acts also as a fluid in this convection process. So, pwede rin tong aside from fluid, pwede rin air, pwede rin yung ating magma, no? Nasa ilalim ng Earth. So, yung convection, dito, the sun's radiation strikes the ground, thus warming the rocks. So, as the rock's temperature rises due to conduction, okay, heat energy is released into the atmosphere. So, that form a bubble of air which is warmer than the surrounding air. And we all know that if it is a warm air or a warm fluid, its tendency is to go up kasi siya ay mas more it has a lighter density than the cooler air or cooler fluid. So, pag yan ay tumaas, this bubbles of air rises into the atmosphere. As it rises, the bubble cools with the heat contained in the bubble moving into the atmosphere. So, ito yung ina-explain ko doon sa video discussion na in-upload ko kagabi, no? So ito yung sa convection. It can sa ating earth surface, yun nga, kapag nagkaroon tayo ng um, heat energy coming from the sun through radiation, sa dito naman sa earth surface, yung mga naiinitan niyang surfaces like land, the sea water, no? You can create their warm air molecule above them, and that rises up. So yan, air warms rises, and then kapag nandun na yan sa taas, no, sila naman ay mas nagiging cooler, no, after some times. Tapos yung mga, pag yan ay naging air cool, uh, it will now go down, it sinks. So it will be a repeating process kasi yung mainit tataas. Pag nasa taas siya, biglang lalamig yan. Tapos yung mga bumababa sa ground, sila naman yung umiinit, no? Bakit sila umiinit? Yung mga air na nasa ground, no? Pwedeng reason niya, because of the sunlight, at pwede rin yung heat energy na napoproduce sa community, yung init, pwedeng sa mga industry, sa mga factory, pwede rin yun. So, as the hot air mass rises, the air is replaced by the surrounding cooler, more dense air, and what we feel as the wind. So, ito yung in-explain ko dun sa video kung bakit din tayo nagkakaroon ng wind. Kasi kapag nangyari yung convection sa ating atmosphere, no, merong movement doon ng air. So kapag nag-move yung air doon, you now call that as wind. Now, depende yung amount ng, marami tayong tinitingnan factor dito. Meron tayong uh, um, tinitingnan na temperature, yung iba pang weather elements, no? That affects the wind flow, the wind direction, and the wind blow, kung gaano ba siya kalakas yung hangin, no? So kasi in the parts in our earth, no, there are different um there are irregularities in the temperature in Earth. Magkakaiba yung kanilang temperature depending on the topography din, yung um, yung yung location nga ng isang place, tapos kung nasang region siya sa Earth, tapos yung amount ng cloud na pwede mag-trap sa heat energy coming from the sun. Okay? Yun. So, these movements of air masses can be small in a certain region, such as local cumulus clouds or large cycles in the troposphere, covering large sections of the Earth. So, convection currents are responsible for many weather patterns in the troposphere. Now, during day and night, magkaiba po yung ating direction ng uh, air, warm air and cool air. So, dito muna tayo sa taas. Nakikita po ba to?
Yes po, sir.
Okay. So, during daytime, of course, meron tayong direct light and heat energy coming from the sun. At sinabi ko kanina, kapag um, meron tayong enough amount of energy, it can heat up the surface na nasisikatan, no. Ang between the two, yung mga liquid natin and the solid form, between liquid and solid, ang mas mabilis maka-absorb ng heat is yung ating solid, no? That's why sa land, sila yung mas mainit compared uh, sa seawater during daytime. That is why dito we can create their water vapor, no? At yung ano natin dito, hot air, they rise up, and then towards the direction of uh, the sea ito. Now, the cold air or teka lang ha, ayan. So, the breeze air, no, they will now go towards the land. So, ito yung kanyang magiging rotation. So, from land, it will go up. And then yung cool air na galing sa dagat, it will go to the land. So, yung cycle na to, it can create cloud formation during daytime. No? Kaya kung mapapansin ninyo, kung kayo ay observant during summer season, no? May time na pag matatapos na ang summer season, no? Kasi nag-iiba na yung wind direction, papasok na yung ating habagat. Kung mapapansin nyo, sa umaga, sobrang init, no? During that time, nakakapag-produce na yun ng so many cloud formation yung malapit sa dagat. Na after ng maaraw na mainit na umagang yun, pwedeng pagdating na hapon hanggang gabi, yun yung mga time na pwedeng magkaroon ng ulan in the form of thunderstorm. So, dun yung nakikreate. So, yan ay yung thunderstorm at the maximum 2 hours yan nangyayari. No? So, mapapansin ninyo, kahit hindi pa official, na pumasok na yung wet season, no? Umuulan na, meron na tayong thunderstorm during that time kasi yun yung transition from summer season to wet season. Now, kapag gabi naman, yung ating init sa land ay na-transfer sa seawater na. Okay? Kasi nag-cool down naman na yung land kasi wala na yung source of light, heat and light natin. Ngayon, wind direction naman na, yung convection naman is iba na yung flow. Okay, so from land to the seawater tayo, then it will rise up and go back to the land and sinks down again. So, ito yung application. Wait lang. Yung sa magma pala, same process yun sa convection na gaya sa atmosphere natin. Okay? Yung sa magma, nangyayari, yung sobrang init na magma galing sa core, sila yung mag-go up papunta doon sa lowest solid form ng ating underground. No? Then, after nun, kapag medyo lumamig na yon, okay, sila naman yung bababa. At yung mga mainit sa, mas malapit sa core, sila yung tataas. So, it will be a cycle lang din. So, ito, the sun hits the ground by radiation. Then you have their conduction in the ground. So, the ground hits the air. Ito naman, kaya to nag-heat yung air kasi yung ating init sa land, since magkakatabi na dito yung air molecule sa sa troposphere natin, nata-transfer na yung heat through conduction. Okay? Then, you can have their convection while the warm air rises. Now, kapag nag-condense na kasi itong warm air na may kasamang water vapor, ito na yung babagsak na yung ulan. Kung mapapansin nyo kaya siya nagiging mabigat na yung clouds kasi lumalamig na yung air molecules doon. Kapag lumamig yun, it really needs to sinks down. Okay, another diagram showing the heat transfer by conduction, convection, and radiation. So, ito yung sa takuri natin. Okay. So, ayan ang ating conduction. Ah, at yung mga may direct contact dito, so itong ating source of heat, iinit din tong paligid nung stove natin. Tapos, yung heat is matatransfer all over this metal. Then, sa loob niyan, meron tayong convection. Now, uh, pwedeng mag-conduct ng heat from the solid itong katabi ng yung mga air molecule katabi ng this metal, no? Pero iba ang ating radiation ha sa conduction from different medium. So we have here Earth energy budget. Okay, so we have 100% of solar energy coming from the sun. So 6% dyan will be reflected by our atmosphere. Ito yung mga hindi pumapasok na UV rays and gamma rays and other harmful rays coming from the sun. Then, yung matitira doon, okay, 20% dyan is ma-reflect ng clouds. So, kapag pumasok na yan sa Earth natin, ma-reflect yan ng cloud, hanggang doon lang din yan sa layer ng atmosphere. Hindi na sila makakalabas ng atmosphere once na nakapasok na kasi sila. No? So, matatrap sila sa ozone layer. Okay? So, they will just reflected back by the clouds and bounce back pa rin towards the land. Next, matitira dyan, we have 4% naman doon is reflected from the Earth's surface. So, yung magbabounce back. Pero babalik lang din yan kasi meron tayong ozone layer trapping other heat energy to go out of the atmosphere. Then, yung meron dyang 16% na na-absorb lang ng atmosphere after nitong mag-reflect tong 6% no, na nag-reflect sa atmosphere. May nag-reflect, may ma-absorb. Tapos same thing lang din dito, may 20% na na-reflect, merong 3% daw na na-absorb. Okay? Next naman, yung mga matitira dyan will be absorbed by the land and 4% nga nun is mare-reflect, no? So, may nare-reflect, may na-absorb. So, ito yung mga uh, iba pang nangyayari. Radiated to the space from clouds and atmosphere. So, 64% daw yon. But it will again bounce back to us. Next, ito, meron tayong conduction and rising air is 7%. This carried to the clouds and atmosphere by latent heat and water vapor by 23%. So that is the Earth's energy budget. Okay. Now, ito yung sinasabi kong pagpasok na ng ibang heat energy na nakalagpas sa atmosphere, pag nakapasok na yan sa atin, hindi din makakalabas yung iba kasi matatrap na ng ating ozone layer. So, this is the greenhouse effect. No? So, some solar radiation is reflected by the Earth and the atmosphere. Most radiation is absorbed by the Earth's surface and warms it. So, some of the infrared radiation passes through the atmosphere. Ito yung nakakapass through pa. Some is absorbed and re-emitted in all directions by greenhouse gas molecules. So the effect of this is to warm the Earth's surface and the lower temperature. So infrared radiation is emitted by the Earth's surface. Now, we have the greenhouse gases trapping some radiation na nakapass through sa kanila. Pag nakapass through yung iba, hindi na sila makakalabas, no? Kasi yung iba dyan ay natatrap na ng ating greenhouse gas. Now, kapag ang mga industries natin, mga factories, nakapag-produce ng so much greenhouse gas, mag-aakyatan yan dito sa atmosphere natin, no? Hindi naman kasi 100% is itatrap niya. May ilang percentage pa rin ng heat na makakalabas. Pero pag sobrang dami na ng greenhouse gas niya, yun yung malaki na yung percentage na natatrap niya, hindi na nakakalabas talaga. Kaya nangyari, ito na yung nagle-lead sa ating global warming. Talagang umiinit yung Earth. No? Pero kung tama lang yung dami ng greenhouse gas natin, pwedeng yung iba matatrap, yung iba makakalabas pa rin. Okay? So ngayon, kalaban ba natin ang greenhouse gases? No? Ang sagot po dun is hindi. Kasi kung wala yung greenhouse gas, wala namang magme-maintain ng init ng Earth. So, sabi nga dun sa napanood ko, kung wala tayong greenhouse gas, no, ay pwedeng sobrang lamig ah, ng Earth, no? Yung parang sa ibang planeta na tuwing na yung hahabulin mo yung yung araw. Kasi pag hindi mo hinabol yung sikat ng araw sa lugar mo, pag naabutan ka ng dilim, talaga magfo-froze kasi sobrang lamig. No? Katulad sa Mars. Okay, so hanggang dito na lang pala itong PowerPoint presentation na ito. So, this is the end of this PowerPoint presentation. Okay, I will just post the recording.